Hello, I am LandT Productions, also known as the actor of Ryota and the director, editor, and writer of Warrior Academy, our For Honor roleplay. Warrior Academy was definitely a new departure for us. We had, up until the creation of Warrior Academy, we'd made a lot of very serious and gritty and sometimes even heavy or deep roleplays, or at least tried to touch upon those kinds of subjects and kind of tell a very gripping story and intense story, just, you know, all that stuff. And I remember I first got the idea for Warrior Academy back in very late 2019, actually. I don't remember exactly what my inspiration was for it, but I kind of had this idea of, well, an academy designed for training warriors, and how there would be different factions within the house, and depending which faction you took, you would be trained in a different kind of way. The factions ended up just turning into houses later on. I remember one of the core ideas that I wanted for Warrior Academy was that it was meant to be a bit more lighthearted than our other series. It wasn't meant to be like a very serious roleplay, it was kind of meant to be a more personal struggle. The main conflict in Warrior Academy was supposed to be more along the lines of discovering who you were as a person, or trying to figure out your path in life, because a lot of this was very heavily influenced by my time in high school. Still trying to go through high school, figure out what I'm going to do with my life, and, you know, all that stuff. Assuming we're able to pull this off, we're going to get to graduate afterwards. Time really flies, huh?
Damn, it's been that, how long?
I remember I scrapped the idea for Warrior Academy after I just realized that it would be way too difficult to do, because this was back when team colors were still a thing. You could only have green or blue characters on defenders and only have red and orange characters on attackers, which was very, very difficult for getting specific scenes to happen. Like, if you wanted, you simply could not have a stronghold in a rose fight, and you could not have a vision and a gauntlet fight, because they had to be on the same teams unless they were in a duel. But then when they added neutral colors, in the sense that you could have a character only have one color, but they could have it on any team they wanted, that opened up a whole new realm of possibilities. Initially, Ryota was actually supposed to be a Highlander, and he wasn't meant to be Ryota. His name was actually going to be Grim. He was going to be in the House of Rose. That hadn't changed. He was supposed to use the Valhalla Eklinian, is how you pronounce it? The blue, ethereal, deer-looking thing. But when I scrapped the idea for Warrior Academy, I decided not to make him a Viking. The reason we were going to make Ryota a Viking was because we'd never had a Viking protagonist up until that point, but then when we started resurfacing the idea to do Warrior Academy again and planning who which character was going to be, I realized we'd never had a Wulin protagonist either, and nobody had no one on the main cast was going to have their character be a Wulin either, so I thought, well, might as well make the main character Wulin, and Tiandi was a perfect fit for the idea.
Very impressive.
Neither did I.
The character I played in Warrior Academy is Lucillius. And he's very much so a flamboyant, a bit, you know, out there character, to be completely honest, while being so unaware of anything going on around him.
You tried fighting a man 3 times your size!
I did! I ran away! I mean, what? You didn't hear that? The type of characters I normally like playing roleplays are like these, well, honestly, background characters. Someone who, if they do have lines, it's not a lot, and they're generally can be used more for a comedic purpose. I have been in several roleplays, and my favorite role from them is in Mansworth Arrival, where I played as Big Richie. Bootleg Thompson. It's a displeasure to see you here. He was my favorite because, well, he's not my usual type of character. He was an upfront, bit more of a sinister character, while at the same time just oozing this sort of charisma about him. I think he's afraid that I'm a rising star who will take him over, so he's trying to intimidate me out of the running.
Did he succeed?
Not at all.
What character did I play in Warrior Academy? I played Girro and the Grandmaster. Girro was probably the more interesting character throughout the whole thing. I enjoyed playing the Grandmaster a bit more, mainly because he's a nice character, and if you've seen any of my other roles, I am not good at being a nice character. So there were specific rules we put in place for me to play the Grandmaster, and it was difficult, but it was great. And also, you will be one of the mystery of the occult. You will be a student of... attack! You'll never catch me off guard, Lucillius. Good evening, everyone. Sorry that I'm late. The rain
Grandmaster, prepare for a sneak attack!
Good evening, Lucillius. Yes, the rain was a pain.
Can you actually tell the audience a bit about these rules that we had for Grandmaster?
Okay, so the rules were I could not curse. Period. That was the biggest rule for me. Now, you wouldn't know it, but every time as soon as the cameras go off, I am in the back cursing like a mother effer. Am I allowed to cuss? Is that cool?
Maybe not for the interview.
Not really.
I understand why Alex wouldn't talk, but what the fuck about the rest of us?
Fall, your stage transition power seems to be malfunctioning.
Yes, it fucking does.
God damn it. Well, let's call the...
Why the fuck is he purple? No, I'm still fucking purple.
What?
Why the fuck am I purple?
Why did that...
How did my character change? Grandmaster didn't really have that big of an arc. I think the biggest arc the change that happened with him was probably when he got rid of Seth. He showed a bit more of like a darker side of him, but I think that's about as much of a change as we got from him.
And by the way, not even we know what happened to Seth. He's gone. We don't even know where he went.
We don't know where he is. Can anyone find him, by the way?
No one's found him yet. We're looking.
Is he in the Shadow Realm?
I don't know. Probably somewhere beyond that. Anyway. I want to learn to do that.
Ah, yes. Set Opti. It was actually funny trying to come up with the name for him.
His original name was going to be Jim Yeetus.
It was! I forgot about that.
I remember you pitched that to me, said I want him to be Jim Yeetus, and I was like, okay, funny joke, but then you're like, I'm being serious. I'm like, there's no way people will take that name seriously.
Yeah, but then again, it was supposed to be like a not-so-serious RP, and I was like, you know what, that's like the only time I can probably ever use it and be hilarious, but nah. Yeah,
that's a little too silly for Warrior Academy.
Set as a character, I tried to make Set as like a somewhat of a mastermind. However, how he turned out, I feel as though he went for the best, because he turned out to be what's the right word I'm looking for? A mastermind that fails like half the time to 75% of the time. When I say mastermind, I mean more of a plotter than anything else. A plotter and a schemer.
Yeah.
I tried to have as much fun with Set as I could in that turn, even though with like the limitations that I have here where I'm currently at IRL. But the funny thing about Set Opti, the reason why his name is like that is because, like, okay, I need to think of a good name for him that's a warrior, and the first thing that popped into mind was Set, the warrior god in Egyptian mythology. And then I literally just looked up above my screen and I saw my glasses cleaner, which is Opti Plus. I'm like, Opti, that means optimal. Set optimal. Sure, why not?
I didn't actually know that.
How Set started, I tried to, since Set was supposed to be a schemer, I tried to make it as though Set was like this kind, caring individual. I'm sure you'll get there. Just this time.
Oh, I'm hoping I will, yeah. It's just...
With like a heart of gold, or tried to be helpful as possible. And as the series went on, I tried to make it that Set was kind of like you saw the more tactician.
Yeah. Yes, but you can't really dwell on the past at this point. All you can do is try and get back at him.
So I actually have a question specifically for you. How do you think people reacted to, like, Set being the one who was the traitor? Because over time, you know, back when we were still making the episodes, a lot of people thought it was Lucillius and Professor Shade as well. It seemed like no one actually suspected Set, but a lot of people seemed genuinely surprised that it was Set. So how do you feel about, like, how you contributed to, you know, that subversion?
I am happy about that. I was really hoping it would actually be a genuine good plot twist. That's like another reason why I was trying to make it so I was seem set was like a heart of gold. That was like one of the key things in my mind. I was like, please, please, for the love of God, let this turn out to be a really good plot twist. It'd be really funny and really nice.
But wait, if it's not... We've already cleared Eskiel's name. If it's not Eskiel, and it's not you, then it has to be...
Who do you think? It'd have to be me.
And I'm really happy that it actually worked out really, really well.
And in the end, it just doesn't matter because the chaos will live on and on and on. But why aren't you saying anything, actually, now that I think about it? It's quite boring. Say something.
Checkmate. The character I played in Warrior Academy was named Hoffman. He was a stronghold, he is a conqueror, as you can tell. And he was probably one of my favorite characters that I've ever played. He was very shy during the beginning, then he kinda got more confident going on. And probably the main flaw of him was he just thought he was a failure a lot. Hoffman's, I guess, character arc was started out pretty much spring through, I think, summer. He was like shy, he wasn't very confident. He missed the Dominion match because he was so shy and he thought he was gonna embarrass himself and all that. And then he kinda, through fall and winter, he kinda grew, got bigger, got more strength, got more confidence, and slowly started to develop feelings for Ryota, so that was something I had to try and do.
It was Joe's idea, if anyone's curious where that came from.
Yes.
And we kind of were like, you know what, fuck it, sure, let's work it into the plot.
I thought about it at 2 a.m. one night, and I thought, you know what, that'll do good.
Yeah, we never, like, straight up confirmed it within the roleplay. Like, it's never, openly said, but it is very much implied, especially by Seth.
I know you secretly care for Ryota.
I mean, also, we haven't really done a lot of OP characters that are gay or bi or
even just anything, because we're all dudes, so if we ever had any romance, it would have to be gay romance.
That's fail. Something always about me is I don't go for main, like, big characters. Like, let's say if this was a play. I'm not gonna go try and go for the #1 actor. I'm fine with, like, a supporting role that still has screen time and can do things that change the plot. But if something happens to them, the story won't die and derail, and if they don't show up, the fan base will die.
God, I hate it when the fanbase dies because a certain character didn't show up.
I feel like it happened one
Happens
day.
more often than we'd like to admit.
The character that I played was Eskiel, a Rose School Viking, aka this here Jormungandr you see right here. Bit of a quirky sort of dude. Time to bonk some people and give concussions. At a later point, he turned a person or two into trees, so you know that's a cool little tidbit.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good, good.
I hope everyone watching knows that became a joke among the mosh pit.
I have no idea why I can in that one scene I said yeah a couple times, but yep. Honestly, favorite part, I guess it's being able to use this here effect that I've got on my Jormungandr.
So you already have your powers? He saved up a shitload of steel just to make Eskiel have all these crazy powers. When we were going from like For Honor roleplay, and you were going like, can I use this effect? And people were going like, no. Can I use this effect now? No. And then we got around Warrior Academy and we're like, go ahead. And you rejoiced.
That the grind was totally worth it because this effect from that there event pass was worth it.
You might. I asked for magic, not for you to just hit me.
Alright. And hiya!
Ow! That was. Ow! That was your hammer! So, what I had planned for Koroki was he was going to be an incredibly loud, energetic, and yelling character. He's a character I've always admired, and like, not admired in the sense of like his idiocy, obviously, but I've admired in the sense that he can always do whatever he wants and will try the hardest he can without any regrets, and it's for a wholesome reason as trying to improve.
I also, there was one specific scene I actually really wanted to talk about, which was that one scene when Ryota's, losing confidence, but he tries to fight Koroki anyway. He loses, and then he's about to give up, and Koroki actually refuses to let him admit defeat.
That was great! You're almost as nimble as I am.
I can't do this. Call off the fight, just give it to Koroki.
No, I refuse to take this! I don't want to win by forfeit. I want to win like a warrior. Come at me, Ryota. He basically saw the opposite of himself in Ryota, being so unconfident. He's just very down the dumps. Everyone's telling him he can't really do this. And Koroki wanted to go into that fight fighting a fully confident Ryota, a fully competent one, because he has seen from the tournaments how powerful Ryota truly is and how much potential he has. So seeing Ryota at this low point, doing worse than he's ever done before, because he lost his confidence after fighting Girro, just snapped at him, and he just yelled out because he wanted to test himself, and in the end, he got something that he didn't even feel like he earned. That's the last thing he wanted. He wanted to feel like he wanted to fight somebody to a point where both people could improve, and in the end, he got really upset that Ryota was just giving up. Maybe because one, he never really got to fight a fully powered Ryota, which he did eventually. Good thing.
Yeah.
That speech worked. But he never got to really. He didn't feel like he earned a victory if he won this way. In the end, it never would have felt satisfying because let's say Koroki did win, he would have fought Hoffman, potentially won. He would have never felt like he earned it because Ryota never really gave it his all. And in the end, Ryota was just stronger than him. That's how it was. In the end, Koroki lost fair and square, but he realized that he had a lot more growth to go through as a warrior if you were to stand beside Ryota and his friends. Koroki, his name means the black tree in Japanese. And in the end, obviously, he is not symbolic of a tree. He constantly moves around, he constantly cannot hold still, and he is too energetic to even control his how much energy he has. And my goal with that was that Koroki, throughout the entire series, realized that having this attitude was incredibly... Excuse me! It helped him in a lot of aspects, but it also prevented him from enjoying his life at the Academy to its fullest, because in the end, since he was moving too fast, he never really got to sit and appreciate it like, well, what Kahn did.
Do for my exams, but I couldn't help but notice you staring out over the horizon. I've never seen you so lost in thought before.
Yeah, started thinking. Well, thinking more at least. I'm sure he was improving physically, but he never really improved his mind. Well, literally, he improved it sometimes by bashing his head into
by slamming it into a tree.
And Koroki, how are you still alive? I kicked you off a mountain and stabbed you in the face.
Head training. He later, throughout the entire series, realizes this after losing to Seth, and finally grounds himself, finally realizes this fact and how it can actually improve his fighting by waiting and kind of countering his opponent's moves. This is where he kind of first learns how vision works. Even though he's still shit at it, he figures out the first lessons of it and manages to beat Gonchin after the first try. And afterwards, he finally realizes that this fact about life, and in the end, he's finally becomes a tree. He's grounded, and he's willing to finally listen. What? Oh god.
The character I played was Kahn. Kahn was a more or less shy, quiet, very quiet, and kind character.
I've seen you be on the med bay for a while now.
Yes, I've been trying to treat the wounded. There's so many of them, but I think they need all the help they can get.
Kahn changed over the course of the roleplay by he was normally, you know, very quiet, shy, and then over the course of the roleplay, he began to make friends, and eventually that led to an event where one of his friends
very nearly got skewered. Well, he was halfway through getting skewered.
Kahn hadn't shown emotion, like not really like hatred or anything, until like a little anger at that moment whenever he tried helping Girro.
Please stay down.
I enjoy playing characters that just, you know, are unique and like hopefully they haven't been done yet. I try to focus on making my characters, you know, as different as possible, so that you can't just take it as like, oh, well, look at this character and look at this character. There's no difference. That's what I try doing, and I love having different characters. I've been in many different role plays. My favorite role in a role play called Scar of War, a character named Dog who was a insane berserker who literally just barked the whole entire time.
Oh, it just hit me. Kahn's not the only role you play in this roleplay. You also play Lunch Lady, don't you?
Oh yes.
How was that?
Eat stuff off the ground. I gotta say, should I tell him how I basically came up with the idea?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, randomly, I just thought to myself that wouldn't it be cool if we had like a character that did basically everything, like in like the academy, and then I pitched the idea to Fred, and he thought it was like a great idea. So I was like,
it'd be funny if we had just one guy who's like serving all the food, cleaning all the floors, healing all the wounded, monitoring all the halls. Just one guy.
Because I remember we had planned for like multiple people, like we had planned for a nurse and like all that stuff.
Yeah, admittedly, it actually kind of covered up the fact that we didn't have enough people to fill all the extra roles. And it worked perfectly.
Being here and let me treat your wounds and clean the floors and doing all that fun stuff. And I hope you have a good future never.
Alright, also, while we're on the topic of Lunch Lady, I need to ask you a very controversial question, alright? A lot of fans want to know. Is he a retired Grandmaster? Okay, moving on. What was your favorite part about making Warrior Academy?
The experience of working with new people and, you know, exploring what those new people have to offer. It's amazing seeing what we could, you know, do with so many people, and how we could just explore those many characters and how they contrast with the story.
Yes, took a lot of work, but it's finally done.
Good. Then I shall be the one to state it. I played Professor Shade in Warrior Academy, and let's just put it like this. Professor Shade was an ominous character I created. Honestly, in my opinion, she was great. Had a lot of things to pretty much show and improve. But also, in more fact, Shade was supposed to be a warden, but she decided to change her fighting style up a bit to match her way. I mainly like playing the silent, mysterious type.
Which Shade most definitely was. One of the most entertaining parts of making Warrior Academy was the autumn arc, when people were trying to figure out who it was that was blackmailing all the students, and so many people were like, it's Shade, it's totally Shade. And we're like, oh shit, for some reason everyone's suspecting Shade.
It was always so confusing when I saw it. I'm like,
I was happy because I was like, I mean, I'm glad that no one's suspecting who it actually is, but why Shade? Well, no, we know why. It's because she appeared as the most mysterious one.
all I could really get from, well, Girro explaining first, saying he was attacked first. But then I got the other side from the other students. My favorite part about making Warrior Academy was getting to be there, show my talent, try to see what I could do to improve. Because I'd always thought of myself as a good voice actor. Honestly, my favorite scene in Warrior Academy, I would definitely say the, don't know if you would call it a lunchroom. Yeah, the lunchroom scene where Shade broke it up.
Sorry.
Alright.
Hoffman!
Alright, enough. Break it up.
Knock it off, knock it off!
Because that actually took a lot of time for me to realize that Shade may be mysterious, but she at least, to my point of view, needs to show at least some point of putting her foot down. Such as when she raised her voice.
Yes, it'd be very hard to mysteriously break up the fight.
Professor Shade and Norman were just informing me how they had problems with students attacking them. Have you two run into similar occurrences?
Yeah, I was attacked, but I was able to fend them off.
Gonchin?
That was supposed to be an ambush? What exhausting fun. Sit down. I thought that was just part of class. It is a pleasure being here. Thank you for having time to actually work with my schedule.
Of course. He's a very busy guy, but we found time to bring him onto set and tell all of you a little bit about Gonchin.
The character I play was a Shogoki, which was Professor Gonchin, was a Shogoki, blah blah blah. He was a teacher. Wait. I've been in a couple role plays actually under your production. Maybe when I first started doing role plays with you guys, when it was distorted, when I was playing as Firebreak. I don't know if people remember that, how far back that was.
Don't worry, I've got you. Cue a video clip.
You don't want mine. Mine has caused many people commit suicide. And really, actually, I feel like it helped me bring me part of this group and everything. Without you bringing me into all this, I don't know if anyone would actually know who I am in most of your production, and it's been great for past couple years, I guess I can say now at this point.
Hi, Professor?
Oh, hello, students. But yeah, I think the greatest one I would say was when I first started, because it was kind of like how I'm playing, Professor Gonchin. It kind of reminds me of, I was more of a laid-back character. Not super focused, but I have my remarkable parts. I actually was rewatching a lot of it, and there was some there's some moments I was part of it. I do like the original class scene when I was started, showing everyone what a finisher is. That scene right there was hilarious. Or even when the ambush happened.
That ambush scene is also one of usually whenever fans talk to me about Warrior Academy, they always bring up the ambush scene. They're like, oh yeah, I really love that scene when Professor Gonchin is like, oh wait, that was supposed to be an ambush? And then it cuts to him just wrecking everyone.
Gladiolus? Gonchin?
We make it in time.
Glad everyone has arrived.
I played Professor Gladiolus. He was the teacher of Ryota and some other students. The Rose Captain. The character I usually enjoy playing are either villains or mysterious characters. I'm cool with playing just any character, but those are the ones I prefer to play the most. I don't know, I just think my voice fits with those type of characters.
Disappointed me.
Yes, I have been in other roleplays. They are no longer on YouTube, but I was in this Red Dead series called Outlaw, and I played this American, but he was also native. It was like a mix, I guess. His name was Connor, and I don't know, I love playing his character because we used to progress through time, and so the characters got older and blah blah blah. Just sad it's no longer on YouTube. It's really fun to play.
What was your favorite part about making Warrior Academy? Do you have any fond memories about being a part of it?
My favorite part was definitely the effort that went into the production, because it's not just some, oh, let's do this roleplay for fun type thing. I like it when people take stuff like this seriously, and I guess that's why that's why I prefer to, Warrior Academy over some other role plays I've done in the past.
Now then, where were we? Oh!
Over here, we try to actually give a shit. That's our motto.
Yeah.
It's not, but that is basically the A and B of it.
Yeah.
Ryota's struggle throughout the entire roleplay is, at the very, very beginning, he's arriving at an academy run by his father, who is this really big hotshot in the academy. And although it's never, at least at the beginning, not openly said, you kind of learn over time that Ryota kind of feels vastly inferior to his father and feels a sense to prove himself because his father is such a big deal and everybody knows that his father is such a big deal, and he feels a need to kind of live up to those expectations. As such, Ryota he doesn't have a whole lot of confidence in himself because he feels like if he doesn't do something just right, he'll not only be a massive disappointment to his great family that he's a part of, but to his father as well and everyone else around him. But he tries to hide that by putting on a front of bravado and confidence and basically just trying to seem like a very self-assured guy. Kahn, attempt to kill me. Oh wait, no, I'm not supposed to say that. Come and kill me, Kahn. Just kidding, I'm attacking first! And, of course, there is his sword as well, Falchion. Falchion is a weapon that's been wielded by his family and the heroes of his family for generations to come, and he is the most recent inheritor of the weapon. As far as he knows, Falchion is a magical sword that contains very, great powers, and by mastering the powers within the sword, he can unlock his own rose powers as well. But, as we learn later on, Falchion's actually just a nice-looking sword, but there's nothing magical about it. Which, when Ryota initially started unlocking his powers, at first he thought that it was just him understanding Falchion. When he lost Falchion, he thought that he had lost access to his powers, and thus felt like an absolute failure, and kind of went down in the dumps going through the summer arc. He just felt like that he had failed as not only his father's son, but also as a Rose student, and it was over because he wasn't strong enough. When his father told him that the sword actually had nothing to do with the powers he unlocked, Ryota realized that whatever powers he had discovered had nothing to do with the sword, it was his own potential. And with that boost, he was able to finally unlock his true powers when he defeated Girro in the duel. I did it! I managed to use my powers! Holy shit!
My favorite scene is the very end, near the very end, where Ryota defeats the Grandmaster and uses his full potential and his full magic power to beat the Grandmaster. Because first off, it took so many tries.
In the bloopers, you can see half of the amount of times we lagged out. I didn't include all of them because it got kind of repetitive.
It was so bad, and it only happened at the end. But honestly, it worked off, it paid off, and it was beautiful. And to see the 4 fighting styles that the Grandmaster had mastered, and Ryota go through all of them, using the things he's learned fighting Seth, fighting Girro. He used all of his knowledge from fighting every one of those guys.
I mean, Ryota being the Grandmaster, that's pretty out there. But then when you told me that he didn't use his... So this was under the impression where I thought that the Grandmaster could use his powers at any time.
Oh.
So I was pretty, like... I was
okay, yeah, I know.
Kind of denial
yeah,
that
no.
Ryota won.
No, that would have been ridiculous. If Ryota had beaten the Grandmaster, a master of all styles, while he was literally able to predict his every attack, it's like, fuck no. That would have been protagonist syndrome at its maximum.
I know, but after it was clear that I was obviously going to get some context for that, I was like, okay. Looking back on it, that was a really good moment.
Favorite scene, again, probably the first one, because actually 2, the first and the last, because it's the beginning and the end of the series, and it's like, yeah, this is nice. It told an actually a really good story, and I'm happy I got to be a part of it. And I'm happy to be a part of a lot of these RPs. They're really nice to be in.
Where it was showing students, don't know anything, and them making like the funniest comments ever about climbing the freaking gate, because Lucillius had to say something rambunctious as that.
For me, a lot of my favorite parts that I was in were a lot of the jokes, just the running gags of all the dumb shit Lucillius did. They are not bluffing! Stay here!
Oh my god. I was just bluffing! You guys are really good at that!
And, if I had to have a favorite moment, though, I'm going with a scene that I wasn't in where Professor Gonchin just absolutely beating up all the students who were trying to ambush.
What exhausting sit down.
It's either gotta be the Gonchin scene, or a scene I actually forgot about was the sort of pissing match between Girro and Lucillius, where Girro has a bunch of students on the wall with him, prepared to attack Lucillius if Lucillius tries to sneak attack, and he sends up the Centurion anyways.
And then the Centurion gets absolutely decimated.
Oh yes.
That's a fond memory for me as well, actually, because we had planned that scene. I remember you and me were talking about it, actually, one time when we were playing For Honor. We had planned that scene and thought, yeah, we should add that at some point. And it's one of the few scenes where, word for word, frame for frame, it turned out exactly the way we wanted it to.
Also, I love the part where Hoffman got chucked off like a 30-foot drop and just casually got back up. That was... that's
we should explain to the fans what we were going to do in that scene. So, during that bit, we were actually initially going to have Seth call in a catapult, and Hoffman was going to block the catapults, kind of to show just how sturdy he'd become. But we very quickly learned that while you're on that rooftop, you can't call in a catapult on that position. And we tried, like, a lot. And then we thought, well, maybe we can get it just the right angle where a catapult can knock him over the edge. And, yeah, a lot of experimentation, and it didn't work. So in the end, we just settled for him getting thrown off the side of a tower and just getting up from it.
Then probably the bridge transition, which, by the way, was accidental. Larry wanted me to do something along those lines, but one of us got pushed off. But that just happened in the heat of the moment, and I accepted it.
And then there was the bit right at the end when he's like, you know, clapping and monologuing, and Hoffman's just staring at him. I remember we spent a very long time trying to figure out exactly what Hoffman's one-liner was going to be. Because we knew he was going to beat the shit out of Seth in that scene, and we knew he was going to hit him with a one-liner, and I remember you came up with a bunch of different ideas for what he was going to say, and I thought of a few ideas as well, but nothing just sounded good. And then in the end, we realized Seth's always talking about, like...
You don't even know the game you're in. Pawns in my game.
So we thought, I think a good one-liner would be just...
Checkmate.
And that's kind of why the third rule of Warrior Academy was that we wanted it to be a story about growth and personal struggles. It wasn't meant to be a story where the main goal was defeating some huge villain at the end, because that would have undermined the tone and the story that we were going for, the message that we were going for. Warrior Academy is a funny and lighthearted and even stupid roleplay at times, but at its core, it's a story about growth. It's a story about finding who you are and overcoming your flaws to become a better person. It's about friendship, it's about trust, it's about loyalty, and it's about becoming a stronger person, not just physically, but also cognitively, conveying the message that winning at something and succeeding at something isn't necessarily the same thing. Even if you fail at something, you can still learn and grow from it. And just because you won at something doesn't necessarily mean that you got any better. It's not meant to be an epic series about defeating the big bad villain. That's why the series' closest thing to a final boss was defeated 4 episodes before the finale. Sure, you could argue that the Grandmaster was second to the final boss, but Seth was easily the more evil one. Making Warrior Academy, there were a few core rules that we kind of had in mind and that we tried to follow no matter what. 1. The series was not meant to be as serious as our other roleplays. There were some things that we're supposed to take seriously. It wasn't meant to be like a stupid roleplay, but it was meant to be a lot more comical, a lot more lighthearted, and we generally just wanted people to laugh and enjoy watching it. 2, no matter what happened in the roleplay, nobody would ever die. We kept blood on, but we turned dismemberment off. And the general joke was that the characters, no matter how much punishment they took, would just never die.
Oh, this is going to hurt.
They aren't canonically invincible within the world, but there is kind of a comedic element to just how much pain they can take. Characters have been stabbed, shot, blown up, set on fire, thrown off of cliffs, crushed, and they're fine afterwards. It's only just a minor setback for them. And doing that, having it so that basically any kind of ridiculous thing could happen to the characters and they could in some way, shape, or form walk away from it alive afterwards, really opened up a realm of possibilities for exactly what we could have happen to the characters. Because if you're kind of following to more realistic rules where, you know, a normal human being, if they get shot, will more likely than not be killed from the shot, you're very limited in what you can have happen to a character because, you know, there's a limit to how much pain they can take and how much ridiculousness that they can go through. Like in any of our other roleplays, nobody else would be able to survive being thrown off of an 80-foot tower. But, well, in Warrior Academy, anything goes.
You survived.
I'm LandT Productions. Thank you very much for watching and supporting Warrior Academy. We're glad that you enjoyed it. We enjoyed making it. And we hope that we can make more for years to come. Also, it will not be getting a second season. I'm sorry, but it won't. We're happy with the ending. We don't know how else to continue the series. It's good the way it is. Thank you for respecting our decision. Alrighty, well, thank you very much, Rose Altro.
Yes, okay.
Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah,
Alright, well, thank you very much, Smoke.
Thank you for having me once again.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for your time, Deadman.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, Joe.
Goodbye.
Alright, well, thank you very much for your time, Archie.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much for your time, Striker.
No problem, LandT. It was a pleasure to be here.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much, Explorer, for your time.
Oh yeah, it was nice being here, honestly, man, and I'm happy that we got to bring that joy to a lot of people. It was nice, yeah.
For sure.
I really enjoyed this.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much for joining me for, thank you very much for your time, Blue Shock.
My pleasure. I'm glad I could tell everyone this and they can know more about me, you know, because I'm not really talkative.
Well, we're making you more talkative. Don't mind the sarcastic clapping. It's just part of the emote. I couldn't think of. I can't really wave. Oh, never mind. I guess I can. Well, bye.
Lunch lady, he did it.
Yeah, the whole like everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Seth's been overthrown." And you're like, "Lunch lady, he did it." Which, yeah, that was a completely unscripted line. No one told you to say that. You thought of that on your own, and it worked so well. That's something Koroki would 100% think. Of course, you had to include a fucking raw.
Yeah.
So do you think they're gonna notice that this is the only time where I'm actually playing as your character?
Doesn't matter.
I'm sure our deception worked. They don't suspect a thing.
Yeah, they won't notice anything.
It's not a perfect Gladiolus model. This is Badiolus. It's the evil version of him.
well, gotta go find an actual pair of gauntlets. Despite being a part of them, they never actually gave me any, so... Yeah, I'll see you later, Larry, but I gotta go find gauntlets.
Well, then that means that we either gotta find roses and the fucking stronghold's gotta... Oh, God.